Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of my eyeshadow palette collection video. I hadn't initially planned on doing 2 separate videos, but the first video ended up being so long that I figured it would be better if I just split it into 2 videos. Without any further ado, let's get started. The first brand I'm going to start with is Zoeva. This is the Basic Moments eyeshadow palette. I love the color story of this palette. I just think it's really pretty and it's very neutral, but I do love the formula of Zoeva. They have really classy, nice, subtle shimmers, and then the mattes are really nice as well. I created a really pretty look with this, got a lot of compliments, and definitely want to get this palette out and use it again. I just think the formula is spectacular, and especially for mature lids like myself. The next one is the Caramel Melange palette. This is a very warm tone palette. I have not used this one yet. I got a set of these on their website for sale. Really good deal on these palettes. And yeah, so haven't used it yet. But if it's anything like the other palette that I just talked about, I am thrilled that I have it and I can't wait to use it. I've heard nothing but good things about Zoeva eyeshadow palettes. I think this is a beautiful color story and just excited to play with it. The next one is the Spice of Life palette. This is a very warm tone, just really pretty kind of fiery color story. And I haven't used this one yet either, but definitely want to get this out and play with it. I am very impressed with the Zoeva formula, so I'm sure I will love this palette too. This is the Cocoa Blend. This I think is a nice mixture of warm and cool tones, and really excited to play with this. Haven't used this one yet either. I can't believe that. But I definitely want to get this out and play with it. Just think this is really, really pretty. And I just love Zoeva shimmers so much. The next brand is Coastal Scents. This is the Revealed 3 palette. I'm pretty sure I got this at Marshall's. And I like the rectangular pans. I think they look kind of cool. And I love this color story. I've used this palette a couple of times and was very happy with the performance of it. The formula is really easy to use and yeah, just really enjoyed it. The next one from Coastal Scents is the Revealed Smoky palette. This is a beautiful cool tone palette. I've used this a couple times as well and was very happy with the looks I created. The formula is really nice. I think these are really nice for beginners as well because it's not super pigmented. You kind of need to build up the shades as you go, and I think that's always helpful when you're first starting out with makeup, and really like this palette. So Coastal Scents also has these singles that you can purchase. They're called Hot Pots, and I've made a couple palettes out of those. This is kind of a grungy color story, just colors that I thought looked really nice and would look nice together. I really enjoy their singles. They're not amazing, but they are really nice. Perfect for beginners. The pigmentation is not super wowing, but they do look really pretty on the lids, and I love their shimmer formula. Again, another option for mature lids. And this is the other singles palette that I made from the Coastal Scents Hot Pots. These are all shimmer shades with the exception of this one here. Well, actually, they're kind of more of a satin, I guess I would say. I just wanted to try some different colorful shades from the brand, and I really enjoy using these singles. I don't think they're the most amazing singles on the market, of course. I mean, there's a lot of other brands that have some really dynamic, incredible singles, but they're fun to have, and you know, they're kind of interesting to just create your own little palettes with. The next brand is Cara Beauty, and if you watched my 2 looks video, this is one of the palettes I used in that one. This is called The Life of the Fiesta. I love this color story, love the performance of this palette. I definitely want to use this more and more and more during the spring and summer, and just really love Cara Beauty's formula. And this is the other palette that I used in that video. This is the Flower After Hours palette. This is such a beautiful, vibrant color story, and I really love the look that I created, and definitely going to be using this a lot during the spring and summer. Just a big, big fan of this brand. Another Cara Beauty palette that I have is the Purple Haze. This is an all purple palette. I've used this twice and I just loved it. The formula is incredible. They have this one, they have an orange one that I'm going to show you. They have another green one that's never available, but I want to get the green one so bad. Yeah, I just love this palette. It's got a couple pressed glitters here, and they work really nicely. Love it. And this is the Orange Pop. This is an all orange yellow color story, and I have not used this one yet. I can't believe it. So definitely want to get this out and play with it. I think this will be perfect for spring and summer. And yeah, again, love the formula of this brand. Another Cara Beauty palette that I have is the Desert Oasis. I got this one at TJ Maxx. I just love the color story of this palette. They had several of these. They're kind of similar, I would say, to like the Morphe palette layouts. And I got myself a couple and my daughter a couple, and she absolutely loves these too. This is a really nice formula, the same as the other palettes that I've used. So I'm just really impressed with the brand. And then my last Cara Beauty palette, this is called the ES15. There's really no other name for it that I can see on the palette. But this is a really cool color story. It's got a lot of neutrals, but it also has some really pretty pops of color. And I've used this a couple of times, love the results. I just can't say enough good things about this brand. I really hope that more people get on the Cara Beauty train because I just think they have some amazing eyeshadow palettes. The next brand is Rude Cosmetics. This is an indie brand that I believe is located in the UK. If I'm wrong, please feel free to correct me. This is the Rio De Janeiro palette, and this color story is almost a dupe for the Too Faced Chocolate Gold palette. And I do like this. However, the shimmers are pretty lackluster. They're very sheer. It takes a lot of finesse to get them to show up very well on your lid, but I do like the mattes, so I will definitely give this another shot. I've only used it once and just wasn't super impressed, but definitely want to try it again. This is the London palette. There's 3 palettes in this series. This is an all shimmer palette. I have not used this yet. I'm kind of holding off just because I wasn't very impressed with the shimmers in the Rio de Janeiro palette, so I'm just not really sure how this is going to perform, but I need to give it a try because it's kind of silly to have it and not use it. But I do think it's a really pretty color story. And the final palette in the series is the Tokyo palette. I've used this a couple times and I actually really liked the shimmer formula. It was much better than the one that was in the Rio de Janeiro palette. And just like the formula, I think the color story is pretty. I mean, it's neutral, but I did like the looks I created with this. The next palette from Rude Cosmetics is the Margarita Azul palette. I got this off Amazon. This is an all shimmer palette, and I really like these shimmers. They are a little bit sheer. I was hoping for maybe a little bit more, but definitely want to give this palette another try because I did really like this one, especially the Call Me shade. I thought that was really pretty. Just needed to use quite a bit of it for it to really pop on the lid. And my last Rude Cosmetics palette is the Au Naturale. This is a very neutral color story, but I really did like the shimmers a lot in this palette, and the mattes are really nice too. Perfect for mature lids, very soft, subtle shimmer formula, and just really like this. So yeah, definitely want to try more from Rude Cosmetics. The next brand is LA Girl. This is the Nudist palette from LA Girl, and I think this is a really nice neutral color story. The formula is really nice. This was a very affordable palette. I got it with a gift card at Ulta, and just really enjoy using this. Need to use it some more. Then I have these 3 little iLux palettes from LA Girl that I picked up on at a sale at Ulta. This one is called Fantasize. This one is called Idolize. And this one I believe is called Hypnotize. So let me open the lids here. I really like the formula of these palettes. They're really easy to use, and I think would be great for traveling as well. This one here in the middle is probably my favorite. I just really like the color story, and the performance of it was really nice, but they're all really decent palettes. They're very affordable, and you know, like I said, the little size of them is nice, and just cute little palettes. And my last LA Girl palette is the Pro Mastery palette. I love this palette so much. I think the formula of these, there's a few of these in this kind of style, and I just love the formula of this palette. And the color story is beautiful. It's got some really pretty burgundy, mauve-y, pink, and then just some kind of neutrally shades mixed in. But yeah, I've really enjoyed using this, and definitely gonna get a lot of use out of this palette. The next brand I'm going to be talking about is Makeup Revolution. Makeup Revolution has some, I guess, divisions of their brand. This is the Makeup Obsession division. Kind of confuses me sometimes. But this is the Be Passionate About palette. This is just a very neutral color story, but it's got a couple pops of like this little burgundy color here and this almost kind of purpley burgundy shimmer. Have not used this. I just got this at TJ Maxx, oh gosh, I think a week or so ago. It was like $3 or $4 and really excited to try Makeup Obsession. There's several Makeup Obsession palettes that I would love to get, and this one was the only one they had, so I just figured I would try this division of Makeup Revolution's brand and give it a shot. This is the Black Ice palette for Makeup Revolution. And I love this color story. It's a decent palette. It's not great, you know, it's not like, whoa, earth-shattering, but it is a really nice formula, and I enjoy the color story. This bright red here just looks fantastic. So yeah, I do like this palette. It's just not one of my absolute favorites, but the packaging I think is super cool. This is the Platinum palette from Makeup Revolution. This is an all shimmer palette, and it's got some really cool duochrome shades. This one here, this one here. Actually, I think, well, all of them pretty much are very duochromy. I've really enjoyed using this with like one of my all matte palettes, and I just think this is just gorgeous, and I really enjoy using this. This is the Makeup Revolution Soph X Extra Spice palette. I got this one also at TJ Maxx. I have been really happy with this palette and really enjoyed using it. I think the formula is really nice. You know, I hear negative things pretty frequently about Makeup Revolution palettes, but you know, I've always been really happy with the palettes that I've selected from this brand, and this is definitely one of them that I really enjoy using. This is the Makeup Revolution Reloaded Provocative palette. They have several of these in varying color stories. This one is kind of a brownish, mauvish color story, and I've used this a couple of times. This shade did hard pan on me, but which Makeup Revolution palettes are kind of notorious for being known to do that. But this, in this case, this was my fault. I had like primer on my finger and should not have been touching any shadows with it, but yeah. And I know that there's things you can do to take the hard pan away, but pretty sure they always come back. So anyway, but I do like this palette. I think the formula is nice. It's not absolutely incredible, but it is a nice palette, and I think really good for beginners. The next one from Makeup Revolution is the Color Book. Now this is an all purple palette. And it's really cool because when you open it up, there's this little divider, this plastic divider here, if I can show that. This little plastic sleevey type thing here. And on this side, it's all mattes, and this side is the corresponding shimmers. Now, I've seen a lot of creators make fun of these palettes because, you know, it's a little bit excessive, but I have used this a few times, and I loved the performance of this formula, and I just love purple shadows, so if I can indulge that in myself, then I definitely want to. But yeah, I really thought this was a nice palette, and you know, maybe more shades than it really needs. I don't know that you need every single corresponding shimmer to the matte, but hey, I got it, so who am I to talk, right? This is a palette from the I Heart Revolution division of Makeup Revolution. This is the Creme Brulee palette. I really like this color story. I think it's really pretty. I enjoy the pops of color, and I do think the formula of this is really nice. I've used this a few times and really enjoyed creating looks with it. So highly recommend these little palettes. I think they're really nice and they're very affordable. Then one that I've already shown in my springtime palettes, this is the Tasty Avocado for My Heart Revolution. I just love this palette so much. I love the color story. I just think it's so gorgeous. I love the green shimmers in here. The mattes are really nice. I think I did mention in that other video that the shimmers can be a little bit tricky to work with. They kind of need a little bit of finesse. They're kind of flaky and chunky, but once you get them laid down, they are gorgeous, and I love this palette. Love the packaging. Then we have the I Heart Revolution Coffee palette. And this is the color story. Showed this in my spring palettes as well. And I really like this a lot. I think it's beautiful. It's very neutral, but I do like the looks I've created with it. And I love this palette. Then we have this big boy here. This is the Makeup Revolution Maxi Reloaded palette. This is huge. I do really like the formula of this palette. This is kind of the bigger version of that Provocative Reloaded one that I showed. And yeah, I just think this is a really nice palette. I've enjoyed using it. I think the formula is really pretty. It's got a wide variety of shades. The shimmers and the mattes perform really well. And I just think it's really pretty. Then I have this little palette from the XX Revolution branch of Makeup Revolution. This is the Extrovert. This broke, actually. This shimmer shade here just kind of shattered, which I was pretty disappointed with. The mattes in this palette are really nice. They're not amazing by any stretch, but they're not horrible. They're just average. But yeah, I was really irritated that this shattered, but I just kind of pressed it back in. And honestly, I don't really love the formula of that shimmer anyway. So yeah, don't know if you should pick up any of these. This is the Makeup Revolution, the Emily Edit The Once palette. Now, this is a really beautiful color story. I love Emily Noel. She is a creator on this platform that I've been watching for quite some time. She is just such a genuine, sweet, beautiful, wonderful woman. I don't love the mattes in this palette. The darker mattes especially can be kind of patchy, but the shimmers are really nice, and I really do enjoy this color story. And of course, definitely wanted to support Emily. This is the XX Revolution Tuxedo palette, and I absolutely love this palette. I think the performance of the formula is incredible. I love the shimmers. I love the mattes. I just think this is such a nice palette. I really am glad that I got this, and I would like to try more from the XX Revolution line because I just think they're really nice palettes. I love them. All right, so this is the Revolution Pro division of Makeup Revolution. See what I mean? It's kind of confusing. This is the Truth or Dare palette. These are like baked eyeshadow palettes, and I love the shimmers in here. I love the mattes. These are really not really talked about much on YouTube, but I was really impressed with the formula of these palettes, and the color stories are really cool. I have a few more I'm going to show you too. This is the Earthen Stone. This is probably my favorite one because I love that green kind of shimmer there, that baked shimmer there on the lower right-hand second in right here. I guess I could just point to it, jeez. But I really do like this palette a lot. I think it's gorgeous and wish more people would talk about these because they're really nice. Then we have the Smoke and Mirrors. This is an all blue palette, well, primarily blue. I love, though, this peach shimmer here. It's kind of a gold peach shift, and I really enjoy it, and just think this is a really nice formula. Then we have the Rock and Royal, another Revolution Pro. This is a purple palette. Sorry, it's a little messy. This shade here is kind of a duochrome gold to pink shift, and I just love it. And I really love this shade here. This shade is gorgeous as well, and just really, really enjoy the formula of these palettes a lot. This is the Makeup Revolution Forever Flawless, one of the palettes from that line. This is the Decadent palette. This is a very warm tone, neutral color story, but I really enjoy this formula a lot. This is one of my favorite Makeup Revolution formulas. The mattes are really pigmented. They go on really nicely. The shimmers are beautiful, and especially this one down here called Pearls. I just love it and really enjoy using this one. Then we have these all shimmer palettes. This one is called the Foil Frenzy Fusion, and I've used this a couple of times and really enjoyed this shimmer formula. It's gorgeous. It goes on really easily, looks like liquid metal on the lid, and really impressed with this formula. This is another all shimmer foil fusion hybrid is what it's called, palette. This is a more cool tone palette. I have yet to use this one. I'm going to put out a little basket and put my palettes that I have not used in this basket, and I'm going to use them. Okay, that's my goal. But I love the other palettes, so I'm sure I will love this one as well. Then we have the Revolution Sofx, not extra spicy, just Sofx. Let me get that little sheet out of there. This is a really pretty, beautiful color story. I love the formula of this palette. I haven't used this a whole bunch, but I definitely want to use this some more. And I really enjoy this formula. I just think it's wonderful, and definitely going to put this in the basket too, because I need to use it. Sheesh. This is my last Makeup Revolution palette. This is the Courage Wild Animal palette. I love this palette so much. I love the color story. I love the formula. I just think it is such a nice palette to use. So if you can get your hands on this one, I highly recommend it. It just works really well. And yes, it's a kind of a neutral color story. I know not everybody loves neutrals, but if you do love neutrals, this is a great option to have in your collection. All right, now we're gonna go to ColourPop. This is the Garden Variety palette. I talked about this one also in my favorite eyeshadow palettes for spring. This is a beautiful color story. The Super Shock shadow, I do not get along with very well. This is that color or the shade here, Don't Leaf. But I do want to use this palette again. I think it's beautiful for spring and summer, and I love this green shimmer here called Best Buds. So definitely want to put this in the basket as well and use it. Then we have the eyeshadow palette that started my journey into my love and obsession with makeup. This is the Kathleenlights Dream Street palette. Panned several shades in here. I actually did use the teals in this palette. My BoxyCharm video, I used this palette for my makeup look that day, and I used the teals, yay! And I loved them, they were great. So yeah, I love this color story. I don't think this palette is available anymore, which is a shame because I think it's one of their best palettes they've ever made, and I love it. Then we have the Flutterby palette. I love the front of this palette. I think it's so beautiful. I love butterflies. The color story is beautiful. It's a very soft, muted, kind of pinkish mauve color story. And I love this shimmer right here called Sunflare. It does have a pressed glitter. I don't really like the ColourPop pressed glitter formula. It's a little too chunky. I've gotten it in my eye before, but I don't know, maybe I'll give it another shot. We'll see. But I really do love this color story. I just think it's really pretty, and I love the front. Then we have the Frozen 2 palette. This is just a 9-pan palette. I absolutely love this shade here, this Cuddle Close. And I actually did use the pressed glitter here and got along with it just fine. So what do I know? You know, what do I know? I think this is a beautiful, cool tone color story. It does, I guess, kind of have a little bit of warmth in it too. But yeah, just really love this color story and definitely am going to be using this a lot. This is the Blush Crush. Now, this is my least favorite ColourPop palette, and I'm going to tell you why. It is a beautiful color story. However, the shades just don't show up very well on my lids. I have to put a ton of the mattes on for them to show up. I mean, with the exception of this one here. There's just not a lot of variety to the color story. I mean, it is pretty. It's pinkish, blushish color story, of course. But I don't know. It just wasn't, it's not my favorite. Then we have the Wild Child. I just got this not too long ago. Have not used it yet. I think this is such a beautiful brown, just rich, deep color story, and I cannot wait to play with this. This is also going in my basket too of palettes I need to use. Then we have the Baby Got Peach. Talked about this one in my spring palette video as well. I just love the color story of this palette. This shade in the center here is my absolute favorite. Yeah, I just think this is a beautiful pastel peach dream of a palette. Then we have the Little Ray of Sunshine. Talked about this one in that video as well. This is an all matte palette. I love this color story, these kind of mustardy, golden, brownish, rusty shades. I just think they're so beautiful. I love the performance of this palette. Really fun to use. I'll just grab some of my single shimmers, or I do have some liquid shadows as well that I love to use. So yeah, definitely enjoy using this palette. Then my absolute favorite of the monochromatic series, this is the It's My Pleasure. Just love this color story. I mean, isn't it beautiful? This shade here is my absolute favorite. It's called Mr. Sandman, and I just love it. It's got a really cool, I don't know if you can see, really cool flip to it, and just really enjoy purple shadows, and this definitely fits the bill for me. Then we have the Aura and Out palette. Talked about this in my springtime palettes as well. I really like this color story. I think it's really cool, vibrant, pretty greens, and I like these little peach accents on the side here. I definitely will be using this during the spring, and love the formula of this palette too. Then we have That's Taupe, and this is a beautiful, cool toned palette. I love this one. I've heard kind of a mix of things on YouTube, but this is one of my favorite ColourPop palettes. I just think it's beautiful. I love cool tones. The shimmer formula is great. So is the mattes. I mean, you can't really go wrong with the ColourPop palette. Their formula is really, really nice. So happy that I have this one. Then I have Going Coconuts. I got this after watching Paulina Beauty create looks with this, and they were so beautiful, and she just loves this palette, so I figured I would probably love it too, and I do. I just think it's a really pretty neutral color story, and just love it. Love it, love it. This is another palette I just got from ColourPop. This is the All That palette. Haven't used this one yet either. This is a beautiful color story. I cannot wait to play with this. I love these deep kind of brick red colors, and I just think the shimmers look gorgeous. So very excited to get this out and play with it. This is the Boudoir Noir, and I've used this a couple of times. Love this color story. I just love grungy color stories, if you couldn't tell. I just think these shimmers are gorgeous, and so are the mattes. I've used this a couple of times, really like the looks I created, and definitely want to get this out and play with it some more. This is the So Jaded palette. This is a Kathleenlights collab with ColourPop. Now I'm gonna open this up, and it's probably gonna look very different from the one that you own if you have this palette. I just didn't like the way this palette was set up, so I took out the shades and put them back in the way I thought it should look. So the shade names don't really match the shadows, which might be a little obnoxious to some of you, but I don't know, this layout makes more sense to me. This is one of my favorite ColourPop palettes. I just love the formula. The shimmers in this palette are just incredible, and so happy that I have this in my collection. And for my last ColourPop palette, this is the Stone Cold Fox. This is my absolute favorite ColourPop palette. I love cool tone shadows so much. I love the shimmers. I love the mattes. I just don't give this palette enough attention. I obviously have a lot of palettes, and I try to use a different palette every day. So sometimes the palettes that I really love and adore don't get as much TLC as I would like them to. So I'm just gonna have to make a point to maybe just use this for like a week straight. I just love this palette. I cannot say enough good things about it. If you don't have it, I highly recommend picking it up if you're into cool tones. I think you'd be absolutely thrilled with this formula. Then we have Alter Ego. Now these are dupe palettes for Natasha Denona. I believe the Aurora palette from Alter Ego is the Sunrise palette dupe for Natasha Denona, but I absolutely love this palette. It is so gorgeous. I mean, look at the color story. It's so pretty and vibrant. I've created some really pretty sunrise or sunset eye looks with this, however you want to look at it. This Dawn shimmer here is one of my favorites, and I love this kind of yellowy mustardy shade called Shine, and I love this palette so much, and Alter Ego's formula is superb. This is the Goddess palette by Alter Ego. This is a dupe for the Natasha Denona Gold palette. I love this color story. It is so grungy, so me. I just think it's beautiful. I haven't used this as much as I thought I would, so again, need to get this out and play with it some more. This is a very affordable option if you like the Natasha Denona palette, but you don't want to pay that much. These palettes are very affordable. They're about half, if not even more off than that of the Natasha Denona palette. So highly recommend Alter Ego. Excellent formula. And then I have the Artemis palette from Alter Ego. This is the Natasha Denona Metropolis dupe. This is one of my favorite palettes that I own. I just think the formula is incredible. I mean, look at this color story. You have everything you could possibly want. You've got neutrals, you've got pops of color, and I just love this palette and definitely want to use it a ton more. Well, we've made it to the end of my eyeshadow palette collection videos. Congratulations. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day or evening to sit down and watch my videos, especially these longer ones. It really means a lot to me. I really enjoyed showing you guys my eyeshadow palette collection, and I could tell that towards the end of the second video I was losing my energy a little bit, so I apologize for that. It was just kind of exhausting going through every single palette, but it was fun to show you. So if you're new here and you like what you saw, I would love to have you as a subscriber. Please like, please comment. I love chatting with you guys in the comment section. That's like my favorite part of having a YouTube channel. I just love it. But in the meantime, I hope you guys are well and happy and taking good care of yourselves. I hope to see you soon in another video, and take care. Thank you. Bye.